to the Horror Hangout podcast where three bearded film fans watch the best and worst horror movies of all time. My name is Luke Condor with Kate. I'm joined by my regular co-host, Mr.
Ben Errington.
And increasingly regular co-host. I don't know what to call you anymore, Andy.
Just
irregular will do. Wouldn't be unusual, would it?
Joined by our irregular co-host, Mr. Sheets himself. I forgot about that.
Andy Conduit Turner. Hello, everybody.
How is it going, everyone? The dogs are good. They heard your name. Yeah, they were like, "What? Andy Conduit Turner? What's he doing out there?" Yeah, you're looking a bit like an evil overlord or some sort of supervillain with your high back chair.
High back chair, yeah.
I like my shoulders.
It looks like you should be telling us, telling the Batman to reveal his identity by the end of the night. Otherwise, people will die one by one.
That's a given. If you are listening, Batman, I assume you are. Yeah, if you could.
If you could, just reveal yourself in it, for God's sake. Our superhero identity is really that people are just like, I'm currently playing Spider-Man Miles Morales on PS4. He's told about 6 different people that he's Spider-Man. No one seems to care about superhero their true identities anymore. Superheroes are telling everyone.
It'll bite him on the arse like that spider. That's what happened. He told the spider he was. It came back to bite him.
Bit him.
and it bit his arsehole. Maybe not the hole.
How's the Miles Morales game compared to
good.
non-Miles edition?
As far as I can tell, it's pretty short compared to the non-Miles edition. It feels like them releasing it as a full game maybe was a little bit cheeky because I've just got to a part. I mean, I've not been playing it all that long, and I've just got to a part where they're like, "This is the last mission. Make sure you update everything." And I'm like, "What?"
The first one has sped by there. I'm playing that at the minute. I'm like, I got to that same that message where it says, "Are you sure you want to finish it?" So now I'm doing everything else just because I feel like it's been too short. Like I need to extend.
I did everything on the way there, so I was like, "I'm ready."
On the way type of guy. I'm definitely got to do it all at the end. Probably my downfall, but still.
All these things, they'll be like, "Oh, scorpions wrecking, the prison or whatever." It's like, well, scorpions all the way over there. I've got some petty crimes to deal with.
I've got some backpacks to find.
That's
good.
Yeah. What have we? Oh, real life scares.
The famous section, right?
Has anybody had a real life horror this week? I mean, it doesn't have to be this week, but I think if we keep it as topical as possible.
Very topical then, given the day. I think
Pancake
a real
day.
life horror. It's Pancake Day. People make it look so easy, don't they? Flipping those.
We don't see how many takes. We don't see the 364 days of practice that they get in when they make pancakes every night. Flipping 10 reps.
I'm quite a regular pancake eater anyway. Not so much making them from scratch with the batter and everything, but pancakes are in my diet like a couple of times a month already.
You don't let Jesus tell you when to enjoy a pancake.
No, Jesus, you can, yeah.
Just because you didn't have one for a bit, just doesn't mean I have to go without.
Yeah.
But yeah, I made pancakes this morning. You just want to do a good job when you're taking on that responsibility, and there's that tension when you're shaking it. You've made sure it's not stuck, and then you wait and you just think, "I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to flip it." And then, when sometimes it doesn't quite land and one of the corners is just folded under a little bit, so can I save it? Yeah. I think that's not like a jump scare, but that's like a creeping...
Not quite as bad as a jump scare.
It's like a creeping terror, isn't it? Like, is he going to be able to do it?
You're going to ruin Pancake Day for everybody. Everyone's going to hate you. No one's going to forgive you. They're always going to bring it up every Pancake Day. Remember that time you fucked up Pancake Day?
I'll do it this year, shall I? I'll do it this year. Or do you just want to turn it with a spatula? No. I want to try and flip it.
You're a crepe man, I'm guessing, more than a kind of a Scotch pancake.
Yeah, I mean, I'd eat a Scotch pancake, but I like a crepe.
Yeah, crepes are good. What topping do you have?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
I like a Nutella. I like a jam.
A jam.
What's the most basic?
I like a jam.
Sugar. I like
Just
a jam.
sugar?
No. Sugar
Lemon
and
juice.
I have orange juice. Always had orange juice growing up as a kid.
Orange
I don't think we
juice.
could get lemon juice back when we were growing up. I don't remember that being a thing, apart from when you wash dishes with it. But
Man's
like
built in
orange
one
juice.
citrus town.
Yeah.
Wash dishes with it. Those are the washing up lemons. Don't use them for your pancakes. What? Ooh, ever so bitter.
Yeah, I really like orange juice and sugar. It's dead simple, but it tastes so nice.
That's kind of mad. How much orange juice would you put on each pancake? I've never done it.
Just get like a slice, half an orange, half an orange. Not that noise. More of
Straight
a,
from the orange. In my head,
Yeah.
in my head, you're doing it from a carton.
I've done that out of necessity before.
Robinson's
sure.
Fruit and
But-
Barley. Just
Bit of squash, a bit of double strength squash straight onto the pancake.
no double strength when we were growing up, Ben. It was just single, regular strength.
Yeah.
But,
Do you remember when
Yeah.
double strength came in? Changed the
Yeah.
world. Changed
You
the
don't know,
squash landscape.
tangent, not the wrong time. This is talking about squashes. Genuinely, the first doubt that my now wife's dad ever had was because I like a glass of Ribena from time to time, and growing up, it was banned in their house. One of the first times I met him, he came round and I got in some Ribena, and he was like,
No,
"What's this?"
no.
It's like I've told you.
Why was it banned? Sugar
Oh.
induced like
I know.
seizures. People go
Coke and
nuts.
everything are fine, but no, not Ribena because it
Okay.
pretended to be too kind. Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. I got you. I'm on the same wavelength now.
So it wasn't the sugar. It was that it lied, I guess, about the sugar content.
Real
There you
life horror. How do you feel when you miss Pancake Day? When it's like, you go, oh, Pancake Day was yesterday. Oh no, everyone's
Well,
experienced it. Everyone's
We
enjoyed
haven't
it
had
together.
pancakes. We haven't had pancakes yet, and I think we're just gonna do it tomorrow instead. But like you,
40 days now, mate. Otherwise, you'll be smited.
Smited. Luke will be alright. Can't get smited twice.
I'm like you. I eat pancakes quite semi-regularly. Maybe not twice a month. I don't have it fixed in the calendar like perhaps you do.
Yeah.
But I.
This is my
Stroke Tuesday
topics,
again.
a lovely pancake, Scotch. Go for a crepe now and again, but
Yeah.
Greek yogurt,
Oh yeah.
honey,
Yeah.
banana or raspberries, depending on what I've got, and then a little sprinkling of like granola with some little chocolate bits in it. Just a little sprinkling, not too crazy, just a little sprinkling. Just get extra crunch. Nice little bit of oh shit.
Oh,
Nice
getting
little-
excited.
just adds that nice little bit of texture.
That's
Yeah.
a nice bit of a recipe. I mean, people might say, these are basic things because, of course, but fuck off with your things that no one would ever. Oh, do you have little beans? Is it?
I've
it
had it
with
with
the-
beans before. Beans and bacon and maple syrup. Sure. I don't mind. I
You got
spanned
that the bacon, but the beans is
Yeah.
next level, isn't it?
it was on like the fluffy American style, and it wasn't a huge amount of beans, just the bacon with a couple of 10 beans on top.
Still pushing that,
Just 10 beans.
isn't
Oh,
it? Did
me
you?
myself, I like a dime bar, and then I just get like a bit of coal, and I just grate it over there.
10 beans. Was that even worth dirtying a
I
saucepan?
can't
for?
remember
Just like,
how many beans. Maybe
oh,
it
I've
was
got to do this
20.
washing up later. All for 10 beans, is it? Yeah,
They
yeah.
were big beans, maybe. I don't know.
Just threw the rest of the tin away. Just went, that's all I want.
I'll do that cold tomorrow.
Yeah. Any other real life horrors? Because it's
Is that a real? Oh yeah, Miss Pancake Day. Okay, yeah.
missing
Okay.
pancake.
I don't know.
Watch some men move a piano. That was stressful.
Yeah. What, down a flight of stairs?
Up a flight of stairs. It was very stressful.
Is this real life, or do you live in a acting?
No, our old house that we had a piano there. We can't fit a piano where we live now, so we were given it, and then so we had to give it away. And someone was taking it, and then the guys were coming to take it out the house because I was never taking it up that flight of stairs.
Pianos
I'll
are
be
crazy
honest.
heavy.
Did you play anything on it as they were leaving?
As they were playing.
Yes.
November rain.
That's why it was so difficult for them to move. I was sat on the stool saying, "No,
Got to finish November rain. It's 8 minutes long, all right. And if you can't wait for me to get to the final outro, then go screw yourself.
yeah." Apart from that, no other real life horrors. Apart from put the news on.
And-
But what else is new?
The real life horror, obviously, I said I was going to mention was when you're chatting to somebody, having a text conversation. You're not really into it. You're not really bothered about talking to them. This sounds mean because it makes me sound like a grouchy old man. Sometimes you're just not into it, and then someone sends you like a massive wall of text. First of all, you got to read it, effort. Second of all, you got to like pick out valid bits to like react to and maybe ask further. Like, I just leave it. I just want to go, nah, just leave that. Just don't.
Is it worse to not
it.
reply or reply okay, full stop? Not
I mean, that's
okay.
Just the thumbs up in Facebook. Give him a big one. Give him that.
And you go, oh, that's pretty big, that thumbs up, yeah. Or you just go, ha ha.
I write lol. It's a force of habit. I've had it's been there since I was 10.
Yeah.
I know. And I understand that some people don't like lol, but I guess the real life horror is when I write lol, and I've worried that the people reading it are thinking, what a tit box. What a nutcake.
I've been on to now. Uncle Frank's taken a turn for the worse, so it's probably best if you come down and say your goodbyes, lol.
Yeah.
You can do the laughing react as well on Facebook, as like inappropriate laughing react.
But it's the same thing. If I write lol, or if I write hee hee, or if you do the little reaction laughing thing, it's all the same thing. Like it all means the same thing.
Shit. We're all putting fake, pretending we're amused about something out into the ether.
If I write ha, I genuinely had in real life. That's how you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's not like a heart on Twitter, which just means I have read this.
Yeah.
I have consumed this.
I've never liked a single tweet. I don't know why. I've gone so long not liking a single tweet that now I can't like a tweet because I'm like, I can't start now. So I always
tweet that you've liked. It would be something epic.
So I retweet things or respond to people, but I don't just like. And I don't know why. And I don't know why, because on like Instagram and Facebook, I do like things. So I don't know why on Twitter I've decided that I'm not going to like things. But for some reason, if you went
confusing the algorithms, you need those likes to know what to show you.
Should we go back to the top of the show? Welcome to the narrating hangout, where 3.
Oh god,
12 minutes in, we've been talking about pancakes and Twitter.
I mean, this is what people are here for, right? Like they haven't come to listen to us talk about a horror classic.
I've got a real life horror actually that feeds into the next segment. Amazon has cancelled Truth Seekers, the TV show starring Simon Pegg and Nick Frost.
I've got that tab open to talk about on horror news, so close that. But, what a segue.
Are you guys disappointed? I didn't see it.
I saw it and watched it with Kat, and we both really liked it. Like we binged it, and we don't really binge stuff much anymore. I wouldn't say it was amazing, but it was very watchable. Very.
Did it leave it open for a second series as well?
Yeah. It didn't really even finish the story this time around. I don't think. I can't actually remember what happened.
That's kind of disappointing.
But Simon Pegg, Nick Frost, you got to have them doing something in the world. You can't leave them.
It would have done well. I'm sure it would have done well. As far as I'm aware, a lot of people watched it. But
yeah, I think not many people knew about it from reading all the replies and stuff on the socials.
Is this one of these things where like have people changed their expectations of what a streaming show is going to do based on the last year, and if it has to do more to be, the best, or is it because are Simon Pegg and Nick Frost a bit expensive for a streaming show? Do they cost a bit? Because both big names.
Possible, isn't it?
It's true. Yeah.
Still a shame. Don't know.
Yeah.
Any other news apart from that? I see. This isn't really horror news, but I thought we should discuss it anyway because Justice League, the Zack Snyder cut, is rated R. So yeah, possibly we'll see some gore, maybe a couple of swear words. Well, more than one swear word. I'm seeing a little clip of like Steppenwolf wrecking all of Wonder Woman's crew. That might be pretty gory. Did you guys see the trailer? obviously it's
yeah.
They obviously it's going to be as far as I can tell, will be the Justice League movie at its heart, but padded out with loads of stuff. I guess nightmare sequence, other origin bits, and it's going to veto other bits and chuck in Darkseid. Is it instead of Steppenwolf or as well as, isn't it?
As well as, I think. I mean, I quite like the Watchmen movie. The last trailer had a kind of Watchmen movie vibe to it, so I'm quite excited. I haven't even seen the non-Snyder cut. Ben's gone. No, I've not seen Shazam. Not seen.
Shazam was pretty good.
Aquaman.
Aquaman. Yeah.
Wonder Woman 1 or 2.
Oh, you're a DC.
Just cannot be bothered. But I will watch this. I will watch this.
I thought the Justice League one was all right, you know, as a superhero team up. But it almost feels like with a lot of the DC stuff, it's almost harking back to some of the cool things of like happened off screen. Like, I remember when Robin got killed by Joker. And you're like, I want to fucking see that. I want to see that.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I'm like, I like the Watchmen like enough, and I think Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead is great. Really like it as a zombie movie. We should do that one day. DMX is in it as well, but I don't know. Like Justice League, if something has to be 4 hours long to be good, and if you're disappointed with what it was, but you think that making a 4-hour version of that is what is needed to make it good, you're in like a tiny bit of a Venn diagram, and I don't know. I'm gonna watch it. I'm absolutely gonna watch it. But like I've got trepidations because it's 4 hours fucking long. Like
I'm hoping to see
it could be very, very. I think it'd be like a lot can change in an edit. Like two people could edit the same movie and it will come out two different ways. I think it'll be quite different to the Justice League that I've never seen.
I'm good. I'm looking forward to seeing it. But I think my problem is like Justice League comics are some of my absolute favorites. Some of the greatest comics I've ever read. Like some of the Grant Morrison stuff is so good in terms of the Justice League stories, and there are great stories for all of those characters. Like arguably, with like some of the names of the individual characters that are behind it, it should be an absolute like out of the park. There shouldn't be any room for any doubt. It should be amazing and incredible. And unfortunately, I think in some cases, some people are like they've almost got a fetish for the Dark Knight Returns and nothing the fuck else. And I'm like, like come on. Like the Dark Knight Returns is good. It's a good book, but it's not the only good thing they've ever done. And I think certain characters in particular, like I don't want a dour and serious and fucking miserable Superman. I want him to be like the nicest man in the world.
Also, Cyborg looks like a crumpled Kit Kat wrapper, like the foil bit. I don't understand who designed that look. It doesn't look good.
Isn't his crotch really like Megatron's face? If you look at the picture,
it looks like if you had a fill-in and you chewed on him, it would really hurt.
I will say about Cyborg is I haven't read enough Cyborg stories in comics to be able to comment on it, but for me, it's a problem because the Cyborg I'm most familiar with is a Teen Titans Cyborg, which is quite a fun character, and again, it's just dour.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, who knows what's going to happen with it? I'll definitely watch it. I'm sure I'll enjoy it to a degree. Yeah. If not for like the film as a whole, probably just for seeing some cool little bits. Like obviously, yes, Jared Leto's Joker is back, and he seems to be the guy who's taking all the headlines from this trailer with his long, luxurious, well-kept hair. Because
he genuinely and with a straight face says we live in a society.
Yeah. Oh no, I didn't even catch it the first time round. I was just kind of like, oh, there he is. Oh yeah. We live in a society, do we? He's got a little SWAT team jacket on, and I've read some bits where he's got apparently like police badges all over it of people
I
he's
have a
killed.
feeling that he's not really there. Like it'll be when Batman's thinking to those dream sequences. The joke will be like the devil on his shoulder or something, that kind of metaphorical.
That could be quite cool there, because what's it called?
Yeah.
The Batman comic, The Last Night on Earth. Is that what it's called? The Last Night on Earth. Yeah, where he's got a severed Joker head with him, and he's taking it about like apocalyptic wasteland. And they've got quite some interesting.
I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna have to see it. It's inevitable. But then when I've seen it, like, I either think, oh, that was very good, and I am refreshed, and that was an enjoyable movie, which is 4 hours long, so I can't watch it that often because when do you have 4 spare hours? Or if it is disappointing, then I'll feel incredibly bitter because it was 4 hours and I paid for it a second time.
Yeah. I
mean, I'm gonna see it, and like you can't not at this point because the hype for it is huge.
What's weird is that I think I preferred Justice League to Batman vs Superman.
Yeah, same.
And that was an entirely Zack Snyder production, obviously, wasn't it? So
yeah, I preferred Justice League. I liked the bit at the end where Superman was real nice and beat up the bad man.
He's always been on about. I liked it when they had a race, when the Superman and the Flashman they had a race. That was the best bit. It was both fast.
Oh, except run properly, mate. Come on.
The only thing I really don't like about Zack Snyder's superhero universe stuff is they do that effect all the time where it goes really fast and really slow. Do you know what I mean? Like and it just looks so fake compared to the Marvel movies. When someone hits someone, it feels super real. Like when Captain America knees someone and they fly off into a side of a building, it feels like it's got some weight to it.
It does look like room for a lot of slow motion. Less slow motion in Garth Marenghi's Dark Place than.
We had to use slow motion because the episode wasn't long enough. It's like 75% slow motion.
That's why it's 4 hours long.
2 hours of it's just slow mo.
Yeah.
It's a 90-minute movie.
The only other piece of news I've really seen is obviously some big news. Is that in the Last of Us HBO series we have our Joel and Ellie. So Pedro Pascal was cast as Joel, and Bella Ramsey, who is in Game of Thrones, was cast as Ellie. Yeah, pretty spot on, really, isn't it? I've seen a lot of people complaining they don't even look like them. It's like, well, I mean, they pretty much do. So it's just what are you gonna do? That's pretty excited for that. Should be pretty cool. Yeah, Pedro Pascal, everything he touches turns to gold at the moment. So let's keep going on this journey with him. Loving it.
I'm still to play the second game. Going to play that at some point this year, I think.
Yeah. Well, Pedro Pascal, he's obviously found a niche, which is looking after somebody smaller than him. Basically in a single dad role. Don't want to spoil anything for anyone who hasn't played the Last of Us games, but Ellie doesn't stay. Well, she's not super helpless like a certain Baby Yoda. Well, he's not helpless. What am I talking about? He's got
magic, isn't he?
He's got magic in his hands and stuff.
Well, he's got powers that we're going to be talking about in a little bit, actually.
Has he?
Baby Yoda's got some mummy-like powers.
Yes. They ripped the mummy off. The Jedis have ripped the bloody mummy off, all right?
Absolute rip-offs. Imhotep's coming. He's going to curse you. You know the pharaohs are up for it.
Emo tips, if we said that. Like he's got like emo hair, but with like little pink or green tips. Come on, emo tips.
What you said, emo tits. Emo tits over it.
Emo tits is pretty good as well, you know. Oh, he's always in such a bad mood, old emo tits. But that's it for news, really. Has anybody watched anything of note this week?
Well, I watched the video of you interviewing the director of Zita, which I've seen quite a few people talking about online.
That was good, wasn't it?
The film.
It's all right,
Your interview was good as well. But
yeah. So Zita, that is out now on demand.
Yesterday, something like that. Yeah.
It came out yesterday, so the 15th of Feb. We did a little short interview with Jordan Graham about the making of it. So that's out as a bonus episode, which was released just before this one.
Yeah.
Go and check it out. We're probably going to try and do a bit more of stuff like that, like talking to filmmakers directly, just about their stuff.
I think especially like independent films like that,
Yeah.
it's nice, not just that people are interested in us seeing them, but it's nice to maybe put a bit of a spotlight on them that wouldn't get the same kind of buzz. What did you guys make of the like? I think hearing Jordan talk about the film, I heard the interview after I'd seen the movie. I think it made me appreciate the film a bit more and all that had gone into making it because
definitely
worked damn hard on it, right? And I think it's a very personal story. And I think it made the film. It sort of made me like reflect back on the film after I'd watched it. But it's an interesting piece. There are some nice bits of creeping dread in there without spoiling anything.
Yeah, and it looks amazing. It stands alongside. It seemed to like capture this sort of A24 horror vibe, but obviously, what's strange is that he obviously started making it before and during that films like that taking off and becoming popular in the mainstream. So it's interesting to see how it came together and that. But yeah, recommend it definitely. Definitely.
I don't think I watched too much else. Galaxy Quest, which is on Netflix at the minute. It's a lot of fun.
Very nice.
Sam Rockwell is great as always. Alan
Rickman.
Yes, he is in it. Yeah.
Yes, he is. You watched it?
Yeah, I don't know what else. What's been going on this week?
Other than that, I've been playing The Medium on the old Xbox, on the PC as well, I think. It's good.
Oh, yeah. What difficulty have you been playing it on?
I'm not sure it has one.
Medium?
Medium.
Yeah. Oh, sucked in. Yeah, I'm playing it on the standard difficulty.
Standard, regular,
normal.
Ready sorted.
Yeah, it's good. It's very good. So very brief premise.
I don't know that much. I don't know that much about it.
You play as a woman who is a medium. It's like in the 1980s in Poland, and it begins with she's had these gifts all her life since she was a kid, from when she can remember. She herself has been adopted. Her adoptive father, who runs a funeral home, passes away, and it begins with her going to to settle affairs at his house, and it's revealed there that through his work and everything, she's been in contact with a lot of dead spirits, and she's developed these gifts to be able to see things that aren't that normal people can't perceive, and to be able to help spirits pass on. And it has some nice mechanics which I think use the new consoles and good PCs to be able to run things in parallel. Like there are moments when she has a foot like in the spirit world and the regular world, and you're controlling the character once, but she appears much like you guys in front of me here in split screen, and you're controlling both. So in some cases there'll be a barrier in the real world that you can get through in the spirit world and go through and unlock things. It's not too combat heavy. There's a couple of sneaking sections or some sections where you're running away from enemies, but primarily it's narrative and solving puzzles. And it's good. There's some good visuals in it.
Yeah, it's made by the guys who made the Blair Witch game, I think.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It's good. It's it gets to some dark stuff which I won't spoil, but it's
I've hardly seen this.
Yeah,
you got to change the brightness settings.
Yeah. Oh, that bit at the beginning where it says, "Turn this down till you can barely see these symbols." Like, nope, all the way up.
Absolutely not. Yeah, no time for that.
Not because I'm scared. It's because I want to find the collectibles, obviously. But
yeah, I think I'm gonna play that at some point. But speaking of new horror games that are out, Little Nightmares 2 is out, which has had like a huge amount of buzz. Some of the people chatting about it, and I've seen lots of like TV adverts and stuff rocking up. I'll definitely give that a go at some point. Lots of cool horror games to play at the minute.
Tis the season.
Tis the season. Yeah. I've seen a couple of things this week. So I saw the Rob Zombie I guess you call it the Firefly family trilogy. Some movies that I've never seen before. I mentioned this in the in the Horror Hangout Board of Advisors Facebook group. Is these films have been a bit of a blind spot for me. That I've only really seen Rob Zombie's Halloween movies and not the films that kind of established him as a filmmaker. So it seems like most people are kind of fans of these. I mean, it got quite a big cult following. A lot of people like House of Thousand Corpses the best. A lot of people like Devil's Rejects the best. So I watched all three, not back to back, but all three over a few nights. And yeah, they're pretty good. I think they do get gradually worse. By the time Free from Hell rocks around, I am well and truly over spending time with these characters. So I think the first, like House of a Thousand Corpses, I think it's really good. It's really over the top, cartoonish, quite unconventional in the way it's like edited and sort of put together. But yeah, I really like it. And I think, considering Bill Moseley made his name as Chop Top, is that what his name is? Chop Top in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, which I really wasn't a fan of, and I really wasn't a fan of his performance. I think he's the strongest person out of all of these, despite the fact that you see Captain Spaulding, so Sid Haig's face everywhere when talking about these films. He's kind of like the person everyone seems to love the most. I think Bill Moseley he's just got this weird glazed over look in his eyes where you're just like, oh God, leave me alone, mate. Come on, back off.
Give it a rest if you could.
Yeah, I think number two.
Yeah, give it a rest.
Number two was the one that we kind of glommed onto when we were kids. I think we were listening to a lot of Leonard Skinner at the time. It was summer. we were driving cars for the first time in our lives.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It feels more like a
Freebird sequence is good.
Grindhouse thriller. Oh yeah, the Freebird sequence is great. Yeah. So yeah, it's less of a sort of over the top horror movie. This is more like a gritty sort of crime thriller. Obviously a bit gory in places still. But yeah, by probably like the final third of this film, I was a bit like, I've kind of had enough of everybody. Baby, played by Sherry Moon Zombie, is just a bit annoying by the end. I'm just like, all right, we get it. We understand what your shtick is, but come on. The people just keep falling for it. Like, oh, she's attractive, is she? Oh, she's being flirtatious. She's being flirtatious with me, or now I'm dead. It just, by the time that happens for like the fifth time, I'm a bit like, oh, okay, right. And Free from Hell hasn't really got much of a story. It felt like just because obviously Sid Haig, I believe, passed away. Was it around about the time they were filming this? So he's not in it much. He's kind of in it at the start, and that's it. And I think it does kind of struggle a bit because I think Bill Moseley has taken his character Otis as far as he possibly can in terms of being an evil serial killing scumbag. And Sherry Moon Zombie is just going nuts throughout the whole film. Just, yeah, I was a bit over it by the end. Some random little cameos throughout the trilogy, though. Danny Trejo turns up in Devil's Rejects and Free from Hell, but Diamond Dallas Page is in the Devil's Rejects. WCW, former WCW champion, and now fan of yoga, DDP. And it was just mad because I thought, he's badass. Why is he not in more films? So that was what I took away from these films. Was DDP, get him in more films now. He's really bendy these days, so he could probably do a load of stuff on screen.
He can do all the Dalsim things. He can teleport. He can do a fire.
Yep.
Stretch his arms.
And he could do a sick diamond cutter. So let's see more of that on screen. Yeah, and the only other thing I watched was Willy's Wonderland, which a lot of people have been watching over the last few days. The Nick Cage trapped in sort of Five Nights at Freddy's style scenario with sort of like a Chuck E. Cheese full to the brim with scary animatronic animals. Yeah, and pretty much everything you would expect to happen in this film pretty much does happen. It was fun, but it was quite one note. I felt like it didn't go as batshit crazy as it could have. And it even felt like Nicolas Cage was holding back, which you don't see him do much these days, but it felt like he was just having a quiet day at the office, pretty much.
Animatronics are expensive. They don't want to bust him. He's got debts to pay already. He had that dinosaur skeleton. This
was the thing. For a while, I was like, okay, so the gore in this film is the animatronics getting ripped apart, and the gore and oil is essentially the blood. And it felt like that was what it was for a while. But then the blood starts flowing, so I was like, it felt like it couldn't make up its mind whether it wanted to be super, super gory over the top or possibly a little bit more, I don't know. It was fun though, worth a watch, definitely.
Oh, lovely. And then we've got, has anyone seen the new Wrong Turn yet? I know that's been talked about. I've
No.
got it on my list. I want to watch it at some point.
I'd like to see it, but not yet. Not yet. Not got around to it.
No, I've not seen it yet.
No.
What is it? Is it just streaming? It's not on Shudder or anything.
I'm not sure. It's a good question.
VOD
But it's-
maybe, is it?
So
I
it's
haven't found
apparently
out.
it's not like it's not like Hillbillies in the Hills, is it? Hillbillies in the Hills.
No, it's they've changed it, haven't they? Because I guess is by the time you got to the later installments of the of the Wrong Turn franchise, maybe it was a little bit probo because it was like these are very rotten inbred folks, like most people live in the countryside, perfectly lovely.
Most of them, all right. Yeah. So they've changed it. It looks like it's some sort of cult thing now, possibly. Is that right?
Yeah, I think it's got a cult that's mentioned.
Yeah. Then there we go. So maybe we'll chat about that next week if I manage to watch it.
Cool.
We did all watch.
Oh, go on.
No, if you thought of something, Ben, Luke, sorry.
Well, so I was trying to watch the film with The Mummy, and I was struggling to find it, and I found one, like a YouTube copy. I got half an hour in, and I realised I was watching something that wasn't The Mummy.
Were you watching the 1999 Brendan Fraser?
This is very good for 1932.
Wouldn't be complaining about that.
It was, I don't know what it was. It was directed by James Whale. So I was like, oh, okay, interesting. Because I know he directed a lot of the Universal stuff. Or maybe, no, did he? Maybe I'm thinking of the TKO stuff. I got confused. I watched some of the wrong movie. It was like 320p. So I was like, I couldn't tell what was going on. The audio was like, constantly. So I was like, I don't know if I can stick with it. Yeah. But then I found out I was watching the wrong movie, and then I watched the Mummy from 1932.
The Mummy. Did you say you've seen someone else, Andy? Did you say you were just?
No, I was just saying we all saw one movie.
We all saw Tut Mummy. So The Mummy is a 1932 American horror film directed by Karl Freund, starring Boris Karloff, Zita Johann, David Manners, Edward Van Sloan, and Arthur Byron. In the film, an ancient Egyptian mummy named Imhotep is discovered by a team of archaeologists and inadvertently brought back to life through a magic scroll. And then he goes on the search for his long-lost princess, which is pretty much just Mario, isn't it? Just
Mario. Just Mario already.
It's all the way it's presented, isn't it?
It's Mario already. What? She's in another castle. For fuck's sake.
IMDb have this rated at 7.1 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes, critics are giving it 88%, and audience score is 72%. Letterboxd is at 3.3. Some choice Letterboxd reviews here. Phelan Galton. He wrote, "This film was amazing. Like, some of the shots on this thing are OMG fucking incredible. 5 stars." He was really into it. Max just goes by the name Max, like Cher or something like that. What an amazing movie about a mummy. Sorry. And the story so amazing I can't spoil. 5 stars. He's really into it as well. I don't know if I believe these people. Hannah R. Put gross and racist, and they all deserve to be cursed. To be H. Half star, she went with. And then Beanbag Flicks. He comes in. Beanbag Flicks.
Does he? Flicks his beanbag.
Beanbag Flicks pops in, chimes in with a of all the classic horror movie monsters, this is the most boring. 1 star.
Oh. Max's review that you went for there, Luke, reminds me of when we used to work in Poland. One of the kids put book reviews in. I was working over there, working over there in, like, obviously a key time in our culture, where every one of the boys in my class that was doing a review of something gave me a review of Avatar. know so much about 3D technology, and all of the girls in the class bought me a review of Twilight, and I'll never forget the final line from one of the things, like, I really enjoyed Twilight. It has made me want to learn more about vampires and their lives. 5 stars. So Max's review, where is it? It's a really interesting film.
What an amazing movie about a mummy. It reminds me of Jerry Jackson. My name is Jerry Jackson. This is an animation.
Amazing. But the first review you read, he maybe loved it so much, he watched it in 4K, like with one of those seats that was like moving all around. Whoa, man, I'm in Egypt.
This film is amazing. Like, some of the shots on this thing are OMG fucking incredible. Film Galtin is the connoisseur of the cinema. Of those
Universal.
The only thing I've noticed
monsters.
about, do you know about the poster? Have you got the poster in front of you? Can you find the poster? Have a look at the poster. Is Zita Johann, bless her, her face on the poster, I know it's just a painting / illustration. She looks like Homer Simpson when he eats the really sour sweet. Like her mouth's all inside out. Like, fucking hell. Bloody mummy.
I can't find her.
She does.
Oh,
I
yeah.
just kept looking at it. She's like, she's all pressed up against a tablet. Not a iPad, but like a like a stone tablet, and she's just popped a little gobstopper in her mouth. She's like, "Oh, bloody sour!"
She's
take the photo.
popped it in because she's at
sour.
work and her boss has seen her, so she's trying to make it look like she's not got anything in her mouth.
And I ask her, I go, "Zita, are you ready for this Zoom call in 5 minutes?"
Mm.
Don't want to waste it. Spit it in some tissue. Yeah. So there we go. This was a short one, obviously. We've done a few Universal monster movies on this podcast. We've done the 1931 Dracula. We've done Creature from the Black Lagoon. We've done Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein. I think we did a double bill. I think that's it.
Yeah.
There's still a few omissions. I think we still need to do the Wolfman.
We've done the deep Creature from the Deep.
Deep Blue Sea.
Creature from the Black Lagoon about a year ago, was it?
You know, those Universal movies. You've got the Frankenstein, you've got the Wolfman, you've got LL Cool J and Deep Blue Sea. Yeah, we did Creature from the Black Lagoon a little while ago. So yeah, we've covered them. We got to do an older Invisible Man.
Yeah, an Invisible Man and an old Wolfman.
Yeah,
do the whole set.
And is the Phantom of the Opera count as a? It does, doesn't it? I think so.
It does now. Now you've said it.
Is that Lon Chaney?
Who?
The guy in Phantom of the Opera. It's not Karloff, is it?
No, it's not Karloff.
Karloff.
Not Big Bad Boris. Wrinkly Karloff. Yeah. So this was short. This was like an hour and 13 minutes, short and sweet.
Don't worry, we've got you covered for runtime.
Yeah. But it still felt like a bit longer, didn't it? I guess the pacing was incredibly slow.
It's
like
definitely of its time,
Zack
right?
Snyder film.
It felt like a Zack Snyder film, yeah.
So much slow motion.
Yeah. So we've got Boris Karloff, who played Frankenstein the year before. That was a big hit for him. So in this film, they build him as Karloff, just that name, as Imhotep.
Just a one man.
Zita Johann, who plays the love interest, and also the reincarnation of Anux and a Moon, which I can't say aloud without thinking of Anux and a Moon from the Universal.
I mean, if we're going to mention that briefly, the 1999 Mummy with Brendan Fraser and what's his name? Vosloo. What's his name? Who plays the mummy? I mean, it's awesome, right? It's
Darkman 3.
Yeah, it's awesome, right? We're all huge fans of that movie, right?
I kind of love that movie. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
like one of these movies. If I'm at home and if you flick him through the TV and it's on, you'll stop on the Mummy and watch him, won't you?
Yeah, I'd probably even stop on the Mummy Returns as well, but not whatever the next one was.
Dragon Emperor.
Dragon Emperor, yeah.
What was that? Shit show, wasn't it? They recast.
No.
They recast.
Imhotep.
Imhotep, mate. That's who you are, mate. They
Rachel
recast
Weisz.
Rachel Weisz. They recast her. I'll never forgive that. That's a cinematic.
cardinal sin.
That's a cardinal sin.
Yeah.
That's the last thing. I'm fuming. Jet Li's in it. Don't care. Recast Rachel Weisz. How dare you?
I've got to say, Rachel Weisz in the Mummy was a bit of a crush for me growing up.
It's because she was a librarian as well, wasn't it?
That was it. That's what did it.
You just love to think of her shushing you. Shh.
I will shush, thank you.
Don't give me a fine.
So I noticed an absence of Rachel Weisz in this one. This was an interesting creative choice. We've also got a few of people I don't recognise. I don't think they've been on scene very recently. They played Frank Wemple, Joseph Wemple, and Dr. Muller. I think they were the.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They're three musketeers of the whole scenario.
The father and son, isn't there? And then, yeah. So it's set in 1921.
It begins in 1921. You're right.
Oh, so it begins in 1921 and it eventually catches up to modern day.
Yeah.
In 1950.
It becomes a contemporary movie after the opening scene. So yeah, you're right. We begin with, and this is the first of many examples where something significant to the plot has happened. So my first note here is that it begins with an archaeologist putting together a very complicated, old, ruined bit of pottery or an artifact, which has been broken into as many as 3 pieces, which he's putting back together. And then he points out, oh, bloody hell, what a hard and exciting day's work we've had excavating this here mummy behind me. And yeah, they've already excavated the mummy Imhotep, and they read a little box. Everyone appears to be fairly fluent in ancient Egyptian, and the box says on it, hey, it's your boy Amun-Ra. If you open this box / read this out, you are going to be absolutely cursed, mate. So don't.
/ read this out. Read it in your inside, boys.
It does. Yeah, and my other bit is that you've just read it out. Surely you get to that bit. It's if you read this out, you'll be not going to read the end of this out to avoid the curse. But he doesn't. He reads it out. Which someone tries to stop and says, "Oh, I won't let you read this out." I know we're all scientists here, but I have these beliefs that you shouldn't. If something says if you do this, you'll be cursed. Even as a scientist, I'm going to say don't invoke a curse because it's a real bad business. And then he heads off and leaves the one, the lead investigator continues there to do a little bit more research while the others nip off for a cup of tea or something. And this is where we see Imhotep, who was just hanging out in the background of the scene as the guy continues to read the scroll. He wakes up and he has a little sly little peek out of his eyes. You see him open his eyes up there, and then heads out of his coffin. And of course, it was a different time there. Much like in the Victorian era, if you had a really stressful day, you could die unless you go and live at the seaside for a bit to convalesce. This guy, in particular, this scientist and archaeologist, he cops a look at Imhotep wandering out of the... He doesn't get him, as far as I'm aware. He just sort of catches sight of him. His hand comes in, he takes the scroll off him, and then he just wanders out, and he is instantly insane. He's laughing.
Yeah.
I'm insane now, thank you. Well, it's really strange that based on the fact that the Boris Karloff as the mummy is so prominent on the poster, and obviously probably prominent in a lot of the marketing around the time, we get very little Boris Karloff as the mummy in what we expect to see, wrapped in bandages, looking like even when he climbs out of that sarcophagus, he's pretty much off screen. We see his hand, and then we see a little trail of, he stood in toilet paper and it's stuck to the bottom of his foot. That's embarrassing. He walks out the door.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first example of that, isn't it? So I don't think they knew that this was the iconic thing. That they didn't realise until it was too late that they spent too long with him out of his bandages, living
Just
life
disguised as a
person.
man.
Yeah.
I mean, you're missing a load of stuff where he's gone out into the world and first started to, like
I want to see that movie, the origin story.
A true fish out of water story where someone
Coming
passes
to
him
America from a sarcophagus.
gets hit by a car. Oh, that's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Someone passes him a mobile phone. Or tries to eat it. I don't know.
Yeah, smoke.
Thinks the scarab beetle, just wangs it away. Give me that.
Because his ass.
He's not in it at all, as you say. He basically goes and the guy who's watching him, he sees him, goes, you mentioned the Joker earlier on, maybe that's the true origin story of him. Once upon a time, Jared Leto's Joker was just completely normal man going about his business, caught sight of a mummy, mad.
That'd be a great post-credits sequence if he looks at the camera and says, "Enoxarimon." Crossover.
So before they did the scroll, did a little reading from the scroll, I think they had a look and they worked out that all of his a lot of his organs were still there, and so were his viscera, I think they say. And they noticed that there was signs of struggling, so they work out that obviously he'd been wrapped like a traditional mummy, but he'd been buried alive.
Why is he so gooey?
Why does he how does he sort of become almost human looking as well? Because obviously to a degree in the 1999 version,
in caramel or something, lots of foundation, and a hat.
He's got 10 years to practice that. He's got 10 years in a minute coming up to practice that look.
It's not worth the effort, is it? Jesus.
I know we'll come to a flashback later in the film, but guys, just put yourselves, cast your minds back a little bit. Imagine to yourself, you are a pharaoh, right? You've got your girlfriend or daughter, whoever it is in this incarnation.
Pharaohs were 9 years old, weren't they?
Yeah. Either way, you're the pharaoh. You can be whatever age pharaoh you like, and you don't want this priest / magic man, Imhotep. You don't want him messing about, right? So you've cursed him to death, and you're gonna get him. Why would you get this magic man who has got all these things about bringing people back to life and do anything which meant he could be resurrected? I'm going to put you in this thing that preserves you forever and bury you with this scroll that brings things back to life. Just whack him in the bins. I would give him.
Whack him in the bins.
you wouldn't do anything that I'm going to preserve your body forever. You'd burn him up.
Yeah, it's like those people who put yogurts in the fridge and just don't whack them in the bins. They
whack them in the bins. They'll
live
come
on
back to get you.
It will. Yeah.
It's like if at any point your number one enemy, you've beaten him or her.
Yeah.
Don't then put them in something which is this will keep him forever, won't it? Just kill him. You got the chance to kill him. It's like Psycho Gorman. He was kept on planet Earth with a magic gem.
Oh yeah.
Just kill him while he's there. Just stomp on his head, cave his head in.
Exactly. If any of my enemies are listening to this, if I ever get the opportunity to get you, I'm not going to leave you in a position where you can come back in thousands of years.
Double tap
to get me.
The Zombieland double tap.
Yeah.
Just make sure that they're definitely dead. You don't have to worry about it. You can sleep soundly.
Not going to chuck you to the bottom of the Mariana Trench like Megatron, or in the center of the earth like that stuff from Green Lantern. You're just going in the bins, dead.
Makes sense to me, definitely.
But someone hasn't done that, and he comes back to life.
So we don't see the guy goes nuts. We don't see him again, do we?
We just hear. At this point, he's laughing, and he finds seeing a mummy hilarious. And then we flash forward.
What are you laughing at? I saw a mummy once. You're still laughing about that, are you?
We don't get to see him explain that, sadly. We flash forward to 10 years later, and it's a couple of scientists, and they're still having the excavation, but now they have they're sick to the back teeth of it. They're like, I'm fed up of looking in tombs. We never get anything good. And the other guy that was doing this 10 years ago, he's just died in a mental institution, went mad, saw a mummy apparently. But
so Imhotep is just knocking about now, disguised. He's got a hat on. He's masquerading as a modern Egyptian guy called Ardeth Bay, covered in makeup. Maybe it's Babeline, covered in makeup all over his face.
Maybe he was reborn with it.
This doesn't make sense, really, does it? Do you reckon he's doing like YouTube makeup tutorials? Like, okay, guys, I know a lot of you have been asking about Imhotep's makeup routine, but today we're going to finally show you how I disguise the fact that I'm a 3 millennium old. How old is he?
3,700 years.
3,700 years old. I'm going to disguise that so I can go about my business. Don't know if I'm giving him a accent, but
I mean, it's better that you give him that accent than you try to do an Egyptian one.
Yeah, don't want to be cancelled like Crinan.
Yeah.
But also, like, so with that letterbox review, when they're saying it's racist, is it because white people are essentially playing Egyptian characters? Is that what we're saying? An Egyptian princess decides to come back, and her soul takes over just a white woman called Helen.
So the Helen...
I got a pic of everyone here. Oh, she's half Egyptian, isn't she? Yeah.
Helen's mom was Egyptian, so it's not probably for her, apparently.
Got it. Karloff.
Maybe it's saying that all Egyptian people used to be mummies. Maybe that's what they think the film is.
There's a generalisation there that's not helpful.
Hello, I'm from Egypt. What, do you used to be a mummy or something?
Bloody pharaohs? No.
No, no. No, none of that. Do you live in a pyramid? No, no one does. No one lives in a pyramid. What, for fuck's sake? Yeah, that kind of bigotry that they've got to deal with.
Yeah. But yeah, in the modern days, so you're right. They see what's Imhotep's name? Like his fake name.
Ardeth Bay.
Ardeth Bay comes in and he introduces himself. Says, "It's all right. It's your boy Ardeth Bay." And
Ardeth Bay just sounds like somewhere on the east coast, just like a little bit further down from Skegness. Where are you going today? Want to go down Ardeth Bay for a little bit? Yeah, it's all right down there.
Like a Welsh seaside town.
Yeah.
It's me, Ardeth Bay. I heard you saying that you're sick of looking for tombs and that, but I know where there is a dead good one. And he's like, oh. All right. He goes, why would you tell us this? It's because we people of Egypt don't believe you should dig up your our dead ancestors, but you English thought, guess you can just do it. That's fine. And he shows them where the tomb is, and these scientists literally on their day they were gonna just give it up and head back to London. They go and they dig it up, and what should they find but the tomb of a Nux and a Moon.
I mean, pretty lucky for Mr. Ardeth Bay, aka the Mummy, aka Imhotep, who is lucky that there's some English archaeologists knocking about that can go and crack a Nux and a Moon's tomb open for him.
Maybe he was.
Is that why he wants to do it?
They were right at the end of their tether. Maybe he's been waiting all these years. Maybe he got his disguise sorted like a couple of days after he broke out. But he's just been waiting for him to find it on his own, and then they just haven't. So on the last days, oh fuck's sake, I'm just gonna have to tell him. Like he's been in the weeks running up to it. He's been dropping them like clues in rhyme and stuff, and then he just had to give up and say it's here, right?
Yeah. What's the deal here? So they get to discover the thing, but they don't get to keep all of the discoveries.
It goes to a museum in Cairo, doesn't it?
Yeah. That's part of the deal. But they get to dig it up and then maybe get something, I guess. But they do stay in a museum in Cairo. Maybe it's a timeshare thing. They get it for a few years and then... Because I think there's a quote, it's later on where it's like, oh, the British Museum is not interested in loot. And I'm like, have you been?
Have you been there? Loot all over the place, mate.
Not much British stuff in there, mate. It's just loot. But,
get that back.
So they find the Nux and the Moon's tomb, and then we go to the next. We have the next bit where basically fast forwards a bit more. We don't want to watch them excavate all this tomb or discover the things within it. We just fast forward, and it's like, oh, that was a busy couple of weeks excavating that tomb. It's all in this museum now. and all the treasures are there. They've got it all together, and it's been the biggest bonanza of all time. There's, you name it. There's pots in there. There's treasures. There's mummies. They found a lot.
They've got it all. Good day at the office. Good couple of weeks at the office for them.
And this is where we meet Helen.
Helen Grosvenor, half Egyptian woman who bears a striking resemblance to the Princess of Nooks on the Moon. Who would know that? Well, I suppose Imhotep would, but that's quite a big. Like, I reckon I forget what someone looked like in 3,700 years.
You're giving a lot of credit to like 3,700-year-old craftsmen. Like that mask that's on that sarcophagus doesn't look like.
Oh yeah. So, we got to discuss Imhotep's burial as well, because is that kind of that's not revealed just yet, is it? We don't see.
We get it a little bit later on.
When he looks in the Mumra pool a bit later on, then
the Mumra pool, yeah. When he looks at his jacuzzi.
Yeah, but for now we just meet Helen at classic like big British party in Egypt, like at a fancy ballroom at a nice hotel or something, right?
That bloke who takes a liking to her, is it Frank Wemple? Oh, what a flannel this guy is. He's just like, he's all over her to start with. To be fair though, considering this is like the 30s, like the way she kind of well, I guess she still a force for him as well, but the way she kind of kicks his ass a little bit with some of the ridiculous things he's saying, which is like, oh, I was holding you when you passed that, and I was thinking, what does he say? He says something wet, where I'm like, you've just met her. You've literally just met her, and you're already going, I might be in love with you.
Apparently courtship and really securing like a life partner in the 1930s was all about telling someone you love them 3 times. It's like someone in Beetlejuice. You get through all those 3 times, and that's it. It's the contract.
She does acknowledge how ridiculous it is, though. I think she does say something like, God, you're a bit full on, and you've already requested a relationship with me on Facebook. Get out of here.
Yeah, we don't got any mutual connections, mate. Don't poke me. Before that, and we go off there, so we see Helen at a lovely party. Meanwhile, at the museum, the professor and Frank's dad are both celebrating the big win, having all the loot, not loot. Don't ever let anyone say it's loot. All in this museum, and then who should be at the museum? And your friend and mine, definitely not the mummy, Ardeth Bay.
Definitely not the mummy. No matter what you say, he's definitely not the mummy. You look a bit wrinkly, don't you? How dare you?
Dare you, Sam, you piece of shit.
So what's he doing? He's transcribing
he's just there at closing time. He's looking at the stuff, and they come and say, "Oh, mate, it's closing time now. Come on, last entry's 15 minutes before." But then they realise it's him. Oh, it's you, Ardeth Bay, the guy that told us where it was. Oh, for you, we'll stay open all night.
He's got a membership card. He's like, just shows it. Just goes,
season pass, mate. VIP. And he says, "Oh, come and have a chat with me in my office." And they have a bit of an awkward moment where he goes, "Oh, don't touch me. I've got to think about it." Do you reckon that's because he's dusty? Because he's a mummy?
His makeup might come off or something, or
makeup might come off. One of
he
his
looks
arms
like he could crumple. He looks like kind of got a sandcastle thing going on, like he could stumble into himself.
Yeah. Oh, don't get any wet on me.
Yeah. So he goes to the office despite not wanting to be touched, and it's a pointless excursion. He goes to the office and goes, "Well, thanks for inviting me to the office. I've got to go now. I got some work to do." But he wanders back into the museum and does the first bit of doing his magic. And Ellen, who's at the party having a bit of a dance with some guy, all of a sudden stops mid-dance, gets a coat, and heads in a taxi, just mindlessly chanting Imhotep like the people in the 1999 Mummy will do in the future.
Oh, she said it?
Imhotep.
So doesn't someone say like, "Oh, she said a word that no one's uttered aloud in all of this time"?
Then how do you know what it sounds like?
Yeah.
No one said that.
No one's
You've said
spoken,
it. I bet
no one's spoken this
you've-
language for 3,700 years.
But you're probably know
How
it well
would
enough.
you know
You've
what
said
it is? Yeah.
It's a name, like, and also someone said it in the opening chapter 10 years ago when they said Imhotep. Maybe
Yeah.
they,
That was the last time anyone said it.
but he's mad. So if he, oh no, I said Imhotep 10 years ago. A likely story. Stay in the straitjacket, mate. You haven't said that name, not even just now. But she's chanting Imhotep. She gets to the museum and is banging on the door when Frank turns up and she's, oh, I've got to get into the museum, but then collapses.
Let me in. I got to get some of that museum content in my eyes.
But she gives up real quick and collapses. Frank probably says, oh, just come back to my house. I've got in Carter 96. We'll watch the stuff on there. The museum's closed.
Is this the first time he's met her, Frank?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
Ah, what a weirdo. What an oddball.
So he collapses, and like any gentleman would do, he just takes her to his house. If you see a collapsed woman, that's what you do, right? That would never go badly.
I'll take it to my house. That's fine, yeah.
To be fair, there is a doctor there, so the doctor is
we'll
the doctor is summoned. And meanwhile, maybe this is why she collapses, because a museum guard comes upon the mummy and finds him. Finds him.
What does he do?
He locates the mummy, shines a torch on it, and
this is bizarre. This moment is bizarre because he shines a torch on him and what's his name?
Blows a candle out.
He kind of looks around, blows a candle out, but then he goes and switches the big light on, which that's things are serious when you got the big light on. But then he walks out like, if I just walk out slowly and normally, no one will know what's up.
And the security guard follows him. We learn later that he died of fright, but the sound effects here sounds like the mummy's like just thumped him.
Yeah, because he came upon the mummy. Because he came upon the mummy and he said, "How dare you have that, you dirty boy."
Give him a How about I give you some of this, right? And there's a facial for you, mate. And he thumps him.
Yeah.
Off screen, and we don't know what's happened.
Yeah. So anything sinister does happen off screen. Even like the mummy in the opening scene, like come into life. Apart from an eye opening,
it opens his eyes.
We don't really see anything. Like everything's off screen. All the big sequences off screen. All the scary moments are off screen. It's odd.
Yeah.
That didn't sound like a dog. Then it sounds like a human doing a dog bark.
That is god of the underworld, Anubis, apparently being demanded to be let out in the garden for a piss by the sound of things.
Either way.
Either way.
But yeah, we go back and Helen regain. Oh no! Before she regains consciousness, the others are talking about the wonders of a Nux and a Moon's tomb. They say they found her clothes, her jewels, her toilet things. I know that means like makeup and stuff, but you can imagine like a Nux and a Moon's little wash bag, with like all the bits and pieces in there.
Just for when she's away for a couple of days, she's got all the essentials in there.
One of those toothbrushes that go in a little plastic container. You can, if you.
I want to be buried with that. I want to be buried with that. You'd never know.
Clean toothy pegs in the afterlife. You never know what you're gonna.
You never know.
Never know what you're gonna need. And this is when Helen wakes up and she talks to Frank. She says, "Oh, you bloody rotter, taking all these treasures out." And he goes, "Oh, I had to do it. Science, Well, fair enough.
Science is like an excuse for a lot in this film, isn't
it? Yeah, and
that's science.
That's the reason. He goes, "Oh, because science. Like, you need to know what the Egypt people in the past buried people with. It's important that we know for science." She goes, "Oh, I guess so, suppose." And then we find out that the guard has been murdered of shock. The doctor and the dad are talking about it. And this is where we get some beautiful 1930s dialogue. And this is the courtship bit where it's like, you can tell me to go to the devil if you like, but I bloody love you. It's
Doesn't she say something like, "Oh, do you find all your potential partners in open graves?" I'm like, what?
Oh yeah, because he talks about how
what are you accusing me of?
he talks about how when he opened up a Nux and a Moon's tomb, even though she was infinity billion years old, and the mummy's like, I couldn't help but fall in love with her a little bit.
He had a little twinge. We've all been there. We've all been there.
A Nux and a Moon.
A Nux and a Moon.
Yeah,
you tell me to go to the devil. Go to the flaming devil. I'll see you later then.
Fancying a mummy, mate. Like, it's not the greatest first impression to make, but it doesn't seem to be too bad. So he mentions that I love you. Tell me to go to the devil if you must, but I am just going to go to the room to talk to my dad. And like a canary, she just goes, well, better go back to sleep then. She just settles down.
She just kiss him at some point, doesn't she? There's a really weird cut where they're kissing, then somebody walks in, and then it cuts away, and then he's like stood behind the sofa.
It might be a bit. I forget that happens, but so she goes to sleep while Frank is off talking to the other gentlemen of science in the office. And Imhotep just turns up at the house. Don't know why he bothers summoning her if he can just come places, and he's there. And she and Imhotep have a little bit of a standoff where is she a little bit like magically enthralled here, or is it just that he's an interesting fellow?
Not sure. Obviously, we get couple of those iconic close-ups, don't we? Where it's like looking deep into his eyes that are kind of glowing a little bit. We get to see every little wrinkle.
Yeah.
On his face.
Of his mummy dust. So they're talking.
His mummy dust, his little hat.
And everyone comes back in. And they immediately know that he must be the mummy because he's super sassy with him. He's like, you can't kill me. I'm going to have my terrible revenge. And they say, but I would kill you. This is like the classic, like, you're going to have a fight then. You're just lucky, mate, that the dinner lady's there because I would absolutely pan you. So,
Considering they're men of science, they do like pretty much immediately believe that he is a mummy.
Yeah. Well, he says as much, doesn't he? So see this ring?
He is very crinkly.
Yeah, I've enslaved this guy back here. He's my servant now. I definitely killed that guard. I'm going to steal Helen/Ellen. And
the bit where the scientist is like, if I would kill you, I would beat you if I could, but you're too powerful.
Yeah,
and I just talking to each other across the room. I don't know.
I'd beat you
couldn't get away with that in the Marvel movie these days. I would fight you, but you're too powerful.
Listen, Ultron, this would be absolutely on, but you are too powerful right now. And he's like, well, fine, I won't press this advantage. I respect what you said to me. I can't fulfill my goals right now either, so we'll just agree to leave it for the moment. And he leaves.
Yeah.
And the science men go back into the office and say, right, what we've got to do is we've got to burn the ancient scroll. But rather than do it while they're all together right now, they agree that one of them will do it alone later. And the doctor the dad. So Frank's dad, what's his name? Professor something.
Professor.
Oh, it's Professor Wemple.
Professor Wemple.
Wemple.
So Professor Wemple puts the scroll on the fire, but even though he was just there a minute ago, Imhotep has gone back to his base and has decided to do a trick that copyright infringer Darth Vader would steal, some 40 odd years later for a move of his own, where he force chokes him from a distance. He gives him some curse.
Yeah. We're assuming does he choke him, or does he essentially make him have a heart attack or something? I'm not sure.
Does he heart attack him or choke him? It's something along those lines. Basically, an ethereal force from afar squeezes an essential part of his body, and he dies of it. Unable to burn the papers in time. And then the mummy's assistant comes in.
Yeah.
We'll have a little bit of a switcheroo here. He takes the scroll out of the fire, puts some newspapers in there to trick the others to think, it's been burned on it. And he's gone with the scroll, which has the power to resurrect the dead.
Yeah. Good times. Yeah. Is around about now we see a bit of a flashback to to the ancient Egyptian times.
Yeah, it's coming up. It's coming up right now when he summons Helen. So the first thing is that the ruse that the servant has placed is only temporary, because in another scene it turns out that the Doctor has deciphered that. He goes, "Oh, that was newspaper. That was newspaper in the fire, whereas the scroll, that'd have been bloody papyrus, wasn't it?" And he was like, "Right." And
you know your burned papers, I see. Yes,
yeah,
I do.
thanks, Sherlock. But the Doctor gives Frank the power of Isis, like a little talisman that will protect him from the mummy. And bloody Frank, he doesn't want to put it on. He's like, "I'll put this on. It protects you from the mummy's power." You know, there's mummy's powers that literally just killed your dad. And he's like,
Yep.
"Oh, I won't. I'll." After that, he goes,
Don't suit me.
Put it
Don't
on.
suit me.
He's like, "Oh, I don't want to put it on." And his the closest he comes, "Oh, I'll put it in my pocket."
You just don't want anyone to accuse him of just looking a bit silly with a little thing around his neck. He's got a complex about jewelry.
So Imhotep summons Helen to his downtown Cairo apartment, I guess.
Yeah, don't go. It's not made it sound so cool.
Yeah, she brings her dog.
He summons her there. She's out walking her dog. Kind of struggling to walk her dog. Her dog's just like yanking her all over the place.
Yeah. Who's walking who? That's what people say when they see a dog pulling. Who's walking who? Hey.
She went, "Oh yeah."
Yeah, but the dog goes in there. The dog's afraid because there's a shouty white cat in there. And
Nooks of the Moon, not Nooks of the Moon. Imhotep has got a flashback all loaded up, ready to go.
Yes, he's already put the disc in.
It's already buffered.
It's already buffered. I had to pause it.
Rewound it.
I skipped the intro. But it's ready to go. So if you just sit down.
Oh, can you imagine? He'd be really embarrassed because obviously 1930s broadband. He'll have done a thing. He'll have preloaded it, and then when he rewound it, for some reason, it's like, "I'd already loaded this. Why did you?"
What do I need to run? Oh, for God's sake! I'd have to get him on the phone.
Oh, it's like, "Oh, I should have downloaded it to my device. Should have downloaded it to my pool." But it's all right. The smokes come, and he goes, "Oh, obviously because of my magic, you won't remember this, but you'll probably have a vague sense or a feeling about it." And she's like in a trance, so she can't respond to it. She sort of looks at him like, anyway. So I'm rambling. Just watch. And he has a flashback about people listening that are familiar with the sequel, The Mummy Returns.
It's the sequel. It's like the opening bit of the sequel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Anux-Amun is going to die, and he goes, "Oh, I bloody love you, Anux-Amun. I'll bring you back to life." He gets busted trying to bring her back to life by the Pharaoh, and he's not happy at all.
What's the bloody age difference here between Imhotep and Anux-Amun?
It's hard to tell. People age differently in these days.
He could be 60, and she could be anywhere from 25 to 35. I suppose, who am I to judge?
Yeah. But Imhotep, he gets busted by the Pharaoh, and again, as we were saying earlier, rather than just like feeding him to a crocodile or chucking him in the bins, he goes, "I'm going to kill you, and I'm going to bury you alive, and I'm going to chip off these things that mean you go to the afterlife, and you'll be here in limbo forever. And I am going to bury you with the scroll that brings people back to life to make sure no one looks at it."
And his sarcophagus, like the face of it, is identical to him. Like they had one ready to go. They had a sarcophagus made with his face on, ready to go. They knew he was going to muck about with some of this.
Maybe because of his role as like a priest, he was just a model for all sarcophaguses. It's just a coincidence that he's buried in one that looks like him.
Yeah. I never thought about that, but that is a great point. Also,
because in the world somewhere, there is someone who is a model that appears in the pictures that come in frames. He or she can just buy pictures from the shop, and there's nice pictures of them already in it. It's like that.
Also, like, what's the expected age? Like the expected the life expectancy, of someone in ancient Egypt, because Boris Karloff is getting on. I thought people were popping their clogs like at 15, maybe a little bit older. But
that's why the pharaohs were all 9.
He's really lasted. What's his secret apart from the makeup?
He's a magic man, though, isn't he?
Magic man, yeah, that's true.
Depends obviously on the amount of science.
If he's got a scroll that can bring you back from the dead, he's got a scroll that would like fix you for getting the flu or the things you die of back then.
It's true. There's a scroll for everything.
Even like animal attacks.
There's a scroll for that.
Yeah. Get the right scroll, you're sorted. But yeah, he is mummified alive. You see him vaguely struggling, I guess, while the Pharaoh's men wrap him up.
Again, not the same as the 1999 version where Imhotep is proper screaming as he's getting bandaged up.
And he gets scarabed, but he doesn't. They just put him in. They just put him in, and then so they get Imhotep, and then they bury him in an unmarked grave, and then the servants that bury him in a grave are killed by some guards, and those guards are killed by who kills those who watches the Watchmen. I guess it's okay that the Pharaoh knows.
Basically, everyone involved is murdered at some point. Oh, you killed those guards, did you? You're gonna have to die as well. Oh, I've killed you, have I?
This is why the Egyptians wiped out.
Yeah.
They all were tangentially connected to this.
One chain from there. I guess the Pharaoh could get away with it by if the Pharaoh goes
9 years old.
Yeah. You ain't keeping track of that kind of thing. So maybe the Pharaoh, after the second set of guards killed the first set of guards that killed the servants that killed Imhotep, maybe he goes, I appreciate you've had to do an awkward thing, guys, so I've made you these cakes. They are poison. And that's how he gets rid of them. But who gets rid of the cooks that made the poison cakes? Yeah, you're right. This is how it all came unstuck.
Yeah, there we go.
But yeah, so that's the end. While Helen was watching that flashback, her dog's been murdered off screen.
Yeah, that was weird.
Unnecessary. And a cat
Apparently
just sat on it afterwards, just taunting it.
Yeah.
The cat killed it, right? The cat was like some reborn god or something. God of cats.
Yeah, is it Sekhmet or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why the dog had to die off screen.
It's really unnecessary.
It's a pretty horrific sound.
Yeah.
The dog screaming.
Maybe they've got that sound and I'm like, how are we going to get this in?
You've got a dog, haven't you? Bring it around. Bring it over. There's also, I don't know, did we mention the really cool effects? It's been in a few times. It's a single shot of Boris Karloff's face and his eyes are dark and then they light up. We talked about
that?
Yeah.
Just
briefly, but it's used again. And it's
like all the way through, isn't it?
Whenever he's doing some of his magic, we whack it in there and it's him, as you say, sort of glowering with glowing eyes, like that kid from the Bonnie Tyler video, I guess. He's there summoning Helen or doing some magic. But yeah, Helen just, again, after he's got the memories back, for someone who wants to bloody kidnap Helen, he gets her and lets her go all the bloody time. Because he is, all right, now you've got your memories back, go home. And so she goes back and sees Frank and says, oh yeah, my dog's dead. But I don't.
Yeah.
Don't quite remember why. And he's like, what? You'd be like, what on earth are you talking about? Get back out there and find out what happened. You bitch.
Yeah, but either way.
They go back?
They go back, and then he basically, I think at this point, the professor's worked it out and says, okay, come on, we're going to have to sort this out. So she gets committed to her house and her bed because having just let her go, Imhotep is going to summon her back sometime and he's going to be up to no good. And then, Anuxan, she worries that every time he summons her with his magic, basically we don't want to let her go. So she's got a nurse that basically says, oh, we've been over this. You told me when you're not possessed not to let you go. And she's like, oh, go on, let us just go. And he's just, no, I won't. So then she talks to like the housemaid and says, "Oh, keep it as a secret just between us. Let me get dressed up all nice, um, so I can convince Frank." And she has a chat with Frank, who he's not having any of it. He goes, "No, you're possessed. I know. It looks like we're led to believe there's been some transition in scene, and maybe this has been several weeks where they're looking for Imhotep's base, and he summons Helen every so often, and they just don't let her go. And I guess they're all just bored of it. It's like lockdowns, right? They had a really good, solid plan, but they're just fed up of it now. And it's like, so the doctor says, next time, Imhotep. We've looked, we've checked like 9 places, and he wasn't in any of them. So next time she gets possessed by Imhotep, just let her go, and we'll follow him, and that's how we'll get him once and for all. And that's kind of what we do. Frank has confessed that he loves Helen now, and she's like, "Oh, all right, like we'll deal with this mummy thing, and then we'll work out what's going to happen with us." And this is where Frank's hubris comes to bite him, because again, just put on the ISIS, Frank, but he doesn't. He hangs it on the door. And no sooner has he hung it on the door.
Do not disturb.
Yeah. If ISIS is a rocking, don't come a bloody knocking, Imhotep. But he does, and he's left ISIS on the door to no effect. I don't know if did he think? What does he think is going to happen? Does he think that a medallion that might protect you, it's going to protect everyone inside that room if you put it on the door handle? Has he read the manual?
Pathetic, really, isn't it? Just pathetic. Come on, lad.
No sooner has he taken it. Yeah, no sooner has he taken it off and put it on the doorknob that the mummy, Imhotep, gives him a force choke in as well, and he has just enough energy to crawl. And this is where we had a difference of opinion. Karen was watching this with me, and she thinks he magicked Frank to knock Isis off the door so he could possess Helen again. I think he was just choking him and he was trying to get it back, realizing he should have worn it all along.
Yeah, that probably makes
That's
sense.
what I went for. But either way, he is crook. He's done it on the floor, and Helen is off out, and the doctor, and now obviously Frank is passed out on the floor, and the doctor's nipped out for a second, so no one is around to actually follow her to wherever she's been summoned. And she heads off to see Imhotep. Oh, it's okay, because when the doctor does come back, he goes, "Oh, they've gone to the they'll have gone to the museum. Let's just go there." But it's okay. But it's okay because Frank's also fine. But because of this little delay, they are a little behind the times, which gives time for Helen to arrive at the museum, and Imhotep, again, much like the plot of that would be used in 1999's Mummy, some convoluted thing which says, well, he does a spell so she has the memories properly of a Nux and a Moon, because but this doesn't quite count because I've got to do a thing where I kill you and it'll sting, but then you'll be you again. Oh, and I've got to burn up the mummy's body, so he does that. Mummy goes up like a tree. I guess she was very dry. He burns up a Nux and a Moon mummy. And then he is going to sacrifice Helen and then put a Nux and a Moon spirit in her, so she's officially together with him, right?
It's pretty mental, and there's a lot of holes in this plan. I was a bit like, well, he's like a moment of agony, and then we could be together forever. It's like, well, I don't know. He said he mentioned something like you're 2 people, and I think she mentions that as well. I'm 2 people, so no matter what happens, if they try and live a normal life, she'll sometimes go, "All right, I'm Helen," and go, "No, a Nux and a Moon," and she'll go, "What?" He don't want any of that. He's got no interest.
He only wants a bit of a Nux and a Moon in there, not any Helen, 0%. So he's going to have to do this sacrifice, and she's dead against it.
another thing, like just harking back to the 1999 version as well. I really believed Imhotep and Anck-su-namun's relationship, and I really believed the fact that they loved each other. It's like a forbidden love, wasn't it? With this, I feel like Imhotep and Anck-su-namun like hate each other. I'm just like, just leave it. Go your separate ways. You know, I know you guys have been together a long time, essentially, but just go your separate ways. Leave it alone. Move on.
It did feel like Imhotep was more bothered than Anck-su-namun was. She was like, oh, a second of agony, you say? Whereas he's like, oh, I've done all this. I've been trying to summon you back here for weeks. I've had all this ready. Yeah. And she's not having any of it. She's going to be sacrificed on the altar, and she's going along with it at first. It's a very blunt knife. It's going to be more than a second of agony. Our heroes, the Doctor and Frank, turn up, but he repels them with his ring that has unknown powers. I don't know what it's meant to do.
Yeah, they kind of like go, ooh, a ring.
Yeah. Maybe there's a very fierce glare off it that's going in their eyes, or maybe they're worried he may summon Captain Planet, who you don't want to be around when he kicks off. But they're repelled, but don't worry, because Helen / Anck-su-namun have a quick prayer to Isis, and she goes, oh, shit. Yeah, there's a statue of Isis that's in the museum, and Helen / Anck-su-namun pray to Isis because I used to be a disciple of Isis, and I broke my vows, obviously, because I've been dead for a while and I was knocking about with this chap, but I would like to make an amends for myself, an amends for myself, if you just deal with this Imhotep problem I'm currently having. And Isis delivers in a Deus Ex Machina style. She just zaps him.
Yeah, zaps him, and not the greatest effects. What happens? I remember a crappy looking skeleton being on the floor. Does he just crumble to dust?
She zaps him into a skeleton. Quick.
Yeah.
Does she destroy? Does she zap him into a skeleton, or does Isis zap the scroll, which was what was allowing him not to be a skeleton?
Yes, possibly, maybe.
Yeah, because the scroll is burned up, either incidentally or by design.
Either way, he ends up as a skeleton on the ground. Unlucky, mate. And that's it. That is the end.
Yeah, I'll put and it's literally the most abrupt end ever. Literally, we don't even have a sentence. They just like the goodies reunite. There's a skeleton, and then it's like the end. Literally, the end on screen.
Yeah, the end. Mummy's dead. Mummy's very dead. That's it. The end of the film. There we go.
Yeah, and I know we've been flippant and gone through this because it is a film that is very much of its time. But I know, it's one of these, there are so many things that you cannot blame this film for. There are no other films from the same time period that don't do a lot of the other same things, right? But,
yeah.
Was there much score in this film? I think there was Swan Lake playing at the top of the film.
Swan Lake was at the start, yeah. But yeah, I don't know.
That's about it. I don't think there was much else in there. Yeah, it was a weird one. I mean, Andy, you were covering a lot of the plot there. I'll be honest, I couldn't remember a lot of that stuff at the end. I'm not too sure if I zoned out or drifted off or something.
I think maybe I was the same, yeah. I was a little bit lost.
This is more time than ever, and some of the films we've spoken to recently, right? People Under the Stairs was insane, but I could follow it and I remembered it, and things like this. This time I did have to rely on my notes because I think otherwise you would lose track of it, just because it's structured very differently to the type of film that we're used to watching now, right?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. I've got some name game for you guys if you're up for it.
Always up for some name game. Always.
Okay. It's not the most complex this time around. This first one I saw in the film, an ancient Egyptian idiot named Stupid is discovered by a team of archaeologists and inadvertently brought back to life for a magic scroll. I don't know if you know what that one's called.
The Dummy.
The Dummy.
It is The Dummy. Yeah, well done. It's the one I watched.
Idiot, so.
It's the one I watched. Is a film about an ancient Egyptian lasagna named Topped with Cheese. And he's discovered by archaeologists and he's brought back to life for a magic oven. And they eat him and he tastes really good.
The Yummy?
The Yummy. Yeah, I told you they weren't highbrow.
I was thinking too much about that. I was like, Dolbio?
In this one, it's about an ancient Egyptian stomach named Imbloated. He's brought back to life through a magic belly rub.
Tummy.
The tummy. Okay, so when I'm actually getting all of these ones and nailing them. In this one, it's about an ancient Egyptian mummy named Imhotep. He's brought back to life through a magic scroll, but they forgot to resurrect his teeth.
the gummy.
Yeah.
They forgot to resurrect. Have you read the bit out which says "Don't forget the teeth"?
That's the one.
I haven't read that bit out.
And then this last one, it's about an ancient Egyptian mummy named Imhotep, who's discovered by a team of archaeologists and brought back to life for a magic scroll. And he makes friends with everyone. In fact, he's a little bit too friendly.
Chummy.
The chummy.
The chummy.
Well,
he's a little bit too chummy.
Well done. 5 out of 5.
Give you absolute credit there for not having one where they bring you back to life, but he stinks of jizz. So,
oh God,
he's come upon the money.
Wow. You said they weren't very highbrow, but Andy's taking it a step too far.
He's been dead 3,000 years, and he stinks of jizz.
What did he do before he died? What have you been doing, you dirty boy?
So that toilet paper is wrapped in on his own buried alive.
The bandages. These are solid. Wafer.
That's when I got him off the screen immediately.
That's why you're so dehydrated, mate. Look at you.
You're dry.
Use some electrolytes.
Just use a sock like the rest of us. Don't I do that?
Just take it easy. I know it's boring right now, but
okay.
Pharaoh comes into this crypt. Oh, it smells like a wanker's nightmare in here, mate. You want to just
right, we need to rate the film. Are you guys gonna be like Max? Who said, "What an amazing movie about a mummy"? Are you going to lean towards beanbag flicks? Of all the classic horror movie monsters, this is the most boring.
Beanbag flicks. Of all the classic movie monsters, this is the most boring. Maybe you're boring, Beanbag Flick. No, I don't know.
I need to know from Beanbag Flicks, does Beanbag Flicks like the others or dislike them universally? This is the worst of them.
Universally.
I'll message him. I'll find out.
Yeah.
What's your stance on the other classic horror movies?
Out of all of them, I've kind of struggled. I know we've talked about me. I struggle sometimes with the older ones, older movies. Dracula, I was particularly set on. I think
anyone that's 3,700 years old. No.
Yeah, that's too far. That's like my cliff edge is ridiculous. Is gone. 3,002? No, not interested.
What about your cliff edge? You don't really have that anymore, I don't think.
Cliffs of quality.
I think the more stuff I've been watching, the more I've been able to appreciate, what makes up a classic movie and what is just a load of crap. This film kind of did keep my attention for the duration. It wasn't like at any point it was really slow, but I wasn't bored at any point, and I was kind of still engaged. And I mean, action is, I say action, but not that much happens. But I think I can still appreciate it. I would have wanted more Mummy. I wanted more Karloff wandering about in bandages. So for that, I'm just going to give it a C-.
Yeah. Okay. I was going to give it a D. I mean, maybe I was watching it at the wrong time. I was very tired, and it's quite a sleepy movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't really vibe with it all that well. But I'd be up for watching it again in a year or two and see if I can appreciate it.
3,700 years time, you'll watch it again.
Still boring. What about you, Andy?
This is one of these things, and I'm really trying not to be, I don't want to be disrespectful to something that has like inspired lots of things that came afterwards and popularized the character.
Yeah.
But in the same way, like those things that have come later have far surpassed this. Like next time I see Brendan Fraser's The Mummy, 1999 on TV, I'm not going to go, "Oh, this reminds me, I should turn this off and put on 1932's classic Mummy." Like it's not going to happen. It's by by several measures, that is a far better film. And even for the filmmaking of the time, there are choices you could have made that would have made it more compelling. And you could have had Boris Karloff's Mummy force choking someone while he was in the same room as them. That's a thing you could have done. But so like there are problems with it that are driven by its age and the way I'm sure stories were told at the time. So you're right, it's a slow one. It's an iconic character, and if you're a completionist, then maybe watch it. But otherwise, you're probably better leaping forward to at least the Hammer horror one with the Kush to tell you that story there.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to go somewhere between you guys and give this a D+. I'm going to give it a little bit higher than Luke because I like it when they say things like, "You can tell me to go to the devil if you like." That's fun.
I got to stop going first when I rate things because I go first and I listen to you and I go,
"Oh." Or you give Congo an A.
I stand by that. I stand by that all day long. Just don't compare it to other A's I've given because I might be embarrassed then. But yeah, there we go.
Right. Okay. So that was surprisingly 30 minutes longer than the actual movie.
Hopefully, you guys, anyone listening, found it slightly more entertaining than a 1930s bit of cinema.
Yeah.
If you do, keep it to yourself, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you, what was I going to say? Go to the Facebook group, Horror Hangout Board of Advisors. Go join a lovely bunch of folks there. You can become a patron over at patreon.com/Hawk and Cleaver. Thanks to Kovac Cameron for our theme music. Thanks to Acast for hosting the show. You can follow Andy at AndyCTWrites on Twitter.
Nailed it. Will you get
follow
pens?
Ben at Ben_Errington.
Yep, that's it. That's where you find me
on Twitter, or me at Luke of Condor. It's Condor with a K.
Yeah. There we go.
Anything else you want to dispense?
Well, next week we're doing Cannibal Holocaust.
I've never seen it.
That face that Luke just pulled is probably how I feel as well. So this could be an experience, but there we go.
Are you watching the cruel or not cruel version?
I don't know.
I prefer to watch the not cruel version, but I think it needs to be talked about as well. So we'll see. We'll see what I can find for science. Exactly. I'm a man of science, and
it's not about loot, Ben. Not about loot at all.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, guys. Talk to you in a bit. Nice one.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.